So, good afternoon, everyone. And it's a real privilege for me to be able to speak to you. I pay my respects to your principal and to the teachers and coach and to all of you. And I wish all of you, first of all, congratulations for all the accomplishments that took place during the government sports meets and wish you an excellent future going forward. What I was talking to the principal about when coming here is to see if we could provide you with an opportunity to see the Carifta Games while the games are going on. I think they begin on the 7th of April and end a few days later. So if we can get that arranged, I guess we have to find the numbers from your coach of those of you who are interested in going and see if we can get tickets for you to be able to attend and see the games if you did not plan to go already. So that was what I was talking about, and hopefully we can get that arranged for you. Now, they talked about my support for Doris Johnson. And it is a very simple proposition for me and an easy decision to make. You are the future of our country. The country is nothing unless you buy into the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You were born here, you've been raised here, but you don't have to stay here. There's a man named D'Angelo Ferguson who back in, I believe that was in the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken, who was a student here at Doris Johnson. And in the year that he graduated from school, he lived in the Fox Hill area. In the year that he graduated from school, he got 8 BGCSEs, all A's. So he was the highest academic earner in the country that year, right here from the Doris Johnson School. He went on to what is now the University of the Bahamas, then the College of the Bahamas, and then went to medical school at the University of the West Indies. And all along, his education was paid for by the taxes of the Bahamian people. But it's his education. The education doesn't belong to the Bahamas. It belongs to him individually. It's his brain, his body, his decision. When he went to UWI, in his physics class, he got the first A+ from a lecturer ever in physics at the University of the West Indies. He did that based on the education that he received at Doris Johnson. He then went on to medical school in the United States to do his specialty. He's now a practicing physician in plastic surgery in a hospital in Detroit in the United States from Doris Johnson. So it is possible for great things to happen right here out of this school. But as I say, the decision about what you do with your life once you get this education is your decision. And you could decide, once you get this education, that you're not coming back here, that you're going to stay overseas. And it's not going to be as easy as you think. For example, the Prime Minister has a daughter who is a specialist in anesthesiology in the United States. And when she came back home from school, she wanted to work at the Princess Margaret Hospital. And they offered her the princely sum of $28,000 a year. But she got a counter offer to work in the United States for $400,000 a year. So what do? 28 versus 400? That's an easy decision to make, right? But you can still help your country even if you live overseas. So I'm not concerned about that. What I'm concerned about is the wider commitment to the Bahamas, no matter where you are. You're athletes, and athletics can take you around the world. I just spoke to Pauline Davis. Don't know if you know that name. But she was an Olympic athlete. She won in Australia in the Olympics, she was one of the golden girls. And she is now in sports administration. Do you know the name Rick Fox? Rick Fox, before Buddy Hield, before DeAndre Ayton, which is your generation of players, before they came along, Rick Fox was an NBA player for the Los Angeles Lakers. He's got 3 rings. Before him was Michael Thompson. He has 2 rings. These are Bahamians. Michael Thompson went to Sunday school with me at the Central Gospel Chapel. Rick Fox used to work in his father's shop called Holiday Ice, selling ice off the back of the truck. He used to go to Kingsway Academy. He told me something, and I actually checked this out a couple of weeks ago. I was talking at L.W. Young, and I was telling them how he told me once that when he was in Kingsway Academy, his foot size was size 13. So he couldn't find shoes to fit his feet. He tells me now his feet are actually size 15. So he's got big feet. And if you look up, there's a song from one of the plays on Broadway, "Your Feet's Too Big" is the name of the song. So he had big feet. And the children used to tease him about his big feet because he couldn't find shoes to fit his feet. But I said to the kids afterwards, I said, well, who's laughing at him now? 3 NBA rings worth millions and millions of dollars. And he's just come back to make a big investment in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So why am I telling you all these stories, and why am I doing what I'm doing? You have a not too easy life in some senses. There's a lot of pressure all around. We are concerned about gang warfare and violence. It especially affects young men. And you really should be able to live by managing your life to be 70 years of age easily. A story I also tell, and some people are probably sick of hearing it. When I was born in 1953, the life expectancy at birth of a male child was 50 years of age. So that meant any baby who was male in 1953 was only expected to live 50 years. So I'm now 69, which means that I've lived 19 years beyond the life expectancy at birth. And they think that has to do with the quality of the food which you eat, the health care that you received. For example, when I was a child, a disease that you had to be concerned about was polio. Every summer, polio struck. It was a virus, and it crippled you, killed you. And then someone discovered a vaccine, and that vaccine was given to all children, and that saved lives. So I was able to get past that. And they used to give us, when I was in kindergarten, they used to give us milk every day because there was a calcium deficiency amongst children. So one of the ways you get calcium is good for your bones, you drink milk. They gave us that. And then it's a lot of things that now affect you. Gun violence in the country today, inability to resolve conflicts without fights, road traffic accidents, just going too fast on the road. And men in particular are killing themselves doing these various things. In the 1980s, there was something called HIV and AIDS. That cut a swath through this country. Thousands of people died. Thousands of people died. I survived that. And then you had the pandemic, which came in your time. So there are lots of things around which can get you, but there's some decisions which you can make which can save your own life. One of them is how to resolve conflicts. You know, Bob Marley, who was a singer in my generation, said, "He who lives and runs away lives to fight another day." And believe me, life is much more important than the alternative. You know, they say, sometimes my friends used to say, so-and-so has gone to a better place. And a friend of mine told me, well, one thing we know is they've never been there, so they don't know whether it's a better place or not. So we don't want you to find out too early whether it's a better place or not. We want you to stick around here. We want you to come back to the Bahamas. We want you to work for the Bahamas. But mainly, we want you to enrich your own lives. There's a woman named Gwen who just died a couple years ago in Fox Hill. She's 106 years of age when she died. 106. So I mean, it's possible for you to live to be 106. I'm going to stop by a lady in a few minutes in Fox Hill. She's a nurse, very well-known nurse in the community. Nurse Sybil Curtis was her name. And she's going to be 100 years old today. 100 years old. And you know what they say? The difference between whether you make it from 90, if you reach the age of 90, and whether you get to 100 is whether you have good relationships. So friendships help you. If you have good friends, you have good social relationships, you live a long life. So that's why we're doing all of this. We want you to live a long and fruitful life. And athletics is part of it. So that you can get scholarships, your health will be great. I mean, look at Stephen Gardner, who's from a modest track in Moores Island, and now world-class athlete. So you can do it. And Martin Luther King said this. Know who Martin Luther King is? Ever heard of him? Okay, Martin Luther King Jr. He was 38 when he died. Got killed when he was 38. But he said in his famous speech, I Had a Dream speech, he said, the only thing that counts is the content of your character. Not whether you have big feet, or whether your skin is dark, or whether your nose is big. None of that stuff counts for anything. Are you a person of good character? So we're doing all of this, and as resources come, we're going to put more and more resources behind trying to help you make it, so that you have a chance to make that decision about whether you're going to accept the $28,000 or the $400,000. And I'd love it. You know, I can come to you, borrow some money when you're all nice and well off. And you don't have to be a doctor, because plumbers make plenty of money. You know, try and find a plumber at midnight when the pipe bursts on a Friday night and see if a plumber isn't important. And you know, we found out through the pandemic that janitresses were really important too, because they're the ones who kept the place clean and safe for us. So there are lots of choices, but it's up to you. And I want to make sure that the resources which are put behind you will enable you to be a success going forward. And when you see me in the road, just give me a hail. I'd appreciate that too. Thank you very much, and bless you.